As you can see, my Triumph Stag is now parked in the front where the Turbo R used to be. Hey guys, this is Al. It's Sunday the 28th of April. I'm at the shop. As you can see, the Bentley is still behind me. Haven't solved the problem, but I am going to try to shotgun some parts in, hopefully make it work. Probably not though, the reality. As you can also see, my Triumph's out here where the Bentley Turbo used to be, and the reason behind that is because the Bentley Turbo is in the paint room where the Triumph used to be. So hopefully sometime this week we're going to get that car painted. We have spent a couple of evenings last week getting the car prepped. I had a friend of mine who's a remarkable body man. He's in his 70s. He helped me work the door out. It's an aluminum door panel, so I wasn't confident enough to do it myself. So he helped me with that. And then I have another friend of mine who's a painter who works at one of the local GM dealerships over here, and he's going to come and help me paint it. So so hopefully we'll get that done, and I'm going to have a nice car to drive rather than just work on. But in the meanwhile, what I'm going to do today is I bought a new O2 sensor, so I'm going to replace the O2 sensor on this car. Still can't figure out what the problem is. I thought maybe the gas was bad, so I drained the gas completely, put new gas in, and it didn't help. I'm going to check the map sensor and see if I'm getting vacuum to it. And I'm also going to do an ECU reset. And the way to do an ECU reset basically is to disconnect the battery, turn the headlight on, and let the capacitors drain on the ECU, because maybe they're storing some kind of programming that could be causing the problem. So we'll figure it out. We'll see what happens. So that's the other thing I'm going to be doing. Yeah, and then I'm also going to replace some of these hoses. These hoses over here are as hard as rock. So I've got silicone hoses. I've got to cut them down to size, and I'm going to replace these hoses. And hopefully, if there is any vacuum, I didn't see any vacuum problems, to be honest with you. I mean, I did smoke test it, but if there is any vacuum problems, we'll get them addressed. So let me start on the O2 sensor. I've already pulled it out before and replaced it with a used one, but this time around I'm going to replace it with a brand new Bosch O2 sensor. The part number for your reference is 13330, and that's the correct part number for the Bentley. So we'll do that, and then we'll take it from there and see what happens. All right. So I replaced this silicone hose. I put the two new hose clamps that came with it. I replaced this one, but I had to leave this one on because the hose that I bought was slightly too large. Didn't fit. Everything else fit really well. I'm also going to check the vacuum to the manifold pressure sensor to see if it's getting vacuum. Now I can read the manifold pressure sensor from the Omitech, so in the live data. So it should be functioning okay, but you never know. At this point I'm ready to shotgun parts into it. So first thing to go in, O2 sensor, then probably coolant temperature sensor and map sensor. Hey guys, this is Al again. I haven't posted in a couple of weeks, but I have been working on this car, and I've also been working on, sorry, I heard something in the background. But I've also been working on the Turbo R, so I'll give you an update on that at the end of the video. But anyway, I'm not sure how much I've filmed and not filmed, but I've done a bunch of testing and diagnostics on this car. I've replaced a couple of vacuum hoses, a couple of elbows, checked the air filter, map sensor, a bunch of other things, trying to figure out what's going on. The computer to me seems to be functioning correctly because the scanner's reading everything. It's going into open loop mode, which is creating the problem, which I think is creating the run rich condition. The only thing that I can think of is to go back to the original problem in the first place. Now, this car ran absolutely fine last year up until the fuel pump failed. When the fuel pump failed, I replaced it with a CIS pump and it seemed to run okay, but it was one of those non-Bosch CIS pumps, because the Bosch ones, they changed the design, and therefore the fitting that goes on the front of the pump doesn't fit right. So I went with a non-Bosch pump. It lasted about, I don't know, a week or so before it died. Basically I ran it ran fine, shut it off, left for a couple of weeks, came back and it wouldn't run. So I bought a replacement pump for it. It was a company made by HAYG on Amazon, and that's when I noticed the run rich condition. So I took the original pump, freed it up using WD-40, just basically applying power to it until it freed up, and then running it through the ultrasonic cleaner and all that good stuff, and then I put it back on, but it didn't seem to help. Still runs rich. Now what I do notice is that the fuel pressure gauge is reading around 45, 46 psi when it's running, and to me that seems like it could be low, and I'm not sure whether the OE pump or the other Hague pump was delivering the pressure or the volume in the amount that this Bentley would need it. So just a wild guess. So what I did is I bought another pump. This pump, the part number is OTP 020. I think the company name is Cytec, but I'll tell you for sure when I get home. This pump is supposed to match the part number that the Bosch pump, the Hague pump, matches. I think it's 05080 something or another 909, and I'll link that again in the video. But this one from the specs gives a much higher pressure and a much higher volume, so should deliver more fuel to the fuel pressure regulator, and the fuel pressure regulator will then regulate it, and it should be fine. So I'm going to try it, see if it makes a difference. I mean, if the pressure is 45 psi, and I think the factory spec states it should be around 59 psi. Could be the problem. Who knows? So I'm going to give it a go, see what happens. It may work, it may not. The pump only cost me like $112, $115, so it wasn't too expensive, and I can always keep it for my 928 or some other car that's going to need it. But it's worth a try. So I'm going to get back underneath the car. It should only take me like 20 seconds to swap the pump out, because I've done it so many times now. So should be able to give you an update quickly, see where we are. Thank you. So you can start seeing it, and it would get worse as the car gets warmer. I'm not sure. Maybe I'll change the temperature sensor for good measure, see if it makes a difference. It really shouldn't, because it's reading the temperature correctly on the ECU. So not sure why it would, but we'll take a look. So guys, I think I may have found something, and I don't know whether, I'll ask around and see if somebody else can give me an answer. But when I look at my scan tool, it reads a pretty low voltage, like 12.9 volts. But at the battery, when I'm checking the battery terminals, I'm getting a 13.87, which is, what you'd expect, with a properly functioning alternator and all that fun stuff. But when I go to the scan tool, I'm getting 12.8, 12.9 volts, 13 volts. So, in my mind, that's a pretty low voltage, right? And this could be why I'm having a problem. I have no idea. I know that, you know, some cars, I've had this problem with my Mercedes, you know, anything like 97 era, where if the battery's on its way, it will throw low voltage codes and the car will start acting really funky. And then you replace the battery and then everything is fine. You can see that the battery's charging appropriately. I don't know whether that means it's a bad battery or a good battery, but certainly there should be no reason why the scan tool from the ECU is reporting approximately 1 volt less than what my multimeter is reporting. So I don't know whether that's related, could very well be, but I'll ask on the forum and see if somebody can shed light. So not sure if you guys can remember, but the whole car was covered in scratches. So there was dings over here which we fixed. The whole trunk lid was really badly scored, so we got that taken care of. The same applies for the roof. Did run into a problem over here where we've got a little bit of moisture, so I'm going to have to fix this. Just going to have to basically dab it with a toothpick and get it fixed, because it's blew some water out of there. It's just, you know, my compressor runs overtime with that paint gun that my buddy uses. He has an Iwata Supernova, and that thing's just like a fire hose as far as paint goes. So we've got to fix it. I don't think it's terrible. I mean, it certainly looks 100 million times better than it did before. Quality of the paint looks really good. So that was all repainted. This was all obviously repainted. The front door was repainted, and I mean, you can still see a little bit of damage here. I guess, you know, clear coat makes things visible that you'll never see in primer. So this line is slightly indented, and you know, I never noticed it before, but I notice it now. But it looks a lot better than it did before, and we'll probably go back and fix it again at some point. But right now I can live with it. It's one of those things where, because I did the work, I know where the damage is, and I can see it a lot more than anybody else can. But you know, there you go, hey ho. It is what it is. The fender was repainted. I got to get a pinstripe guy to come back and run pinstripes across it. So that was repainted up to about here, you know. The rest of the car was pretty much left alone. And then on the other side, we repainted the quarter panel, which had also some serious damage. But all in all, you know, most of the damage that wasn't scratches was this front fender and this front door, and you can see it looks pretty good. I mean, it's a very respectable looking car right now. I think once the pinstripes go back on, I may not even worry about it, but who knows. I may do so. But all in all, I'm very happy because it's a presentable car now, and I can feel very comfortable driving it. So this and my silver Continental R are really, you know, pretty much drivers, right? They're nice cars. So I'm happy about that. You tell me, what do you think? What do you think about this?